Today we're going to talk about X and Y intercepts. So an intercept is where it crosses an axis. So right here we know left to right, this is the X axis. And if we were to plot this point, we would say that's at -4, 0. So our X-intercept will always have a 0 in the Y value. Looking at my Y-intercept where it crosses the Y-axis, you can see that's at 0, 3. So we would always want a 0 and then the Y value. So whenever I'm looking at an equation like this, the way I can find an X-intercept is to put a 0 in for Y, because that's what's going to give me where it crosses the X-axis. So I'm going to do 4x plus 0 equals 5. After that, we'll just do our regular solving. So we can subtract 0, 4x equals 5, divide by 4, and x equals 5/4. So it might be written like that, or it might be written like this, 5/4, 0. Remember, it's the X-intercept, so it's going to go in the X spot, all right? Looking at the Y-intercept, so graphically, again, we're going to put a 0 in for the X, and so I'm going to put X is 0 this time. So I'm going to put a 0 in wherever the X is in the equation and write it, the rest of it the same, right? 4 times 0 plus Y equals 5. 4 times 0 is 0. And I'm just going to show my work here. That Y is 5. So it might look like this. We can't put these together. These are separate points on the graph, just like right here, right? So one's on the X-axis, one's on the Y-axis. We cannot put them together. Let's go ahead and do another one right here. So again, if I want the X-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for Y. So I have a 5x plus Y. So I'm going to do 5x plus 0 equals 2. Going to show my work. Just subtract that 0. Divide by 5. And so x equals 2/5, or 2/5, 0. Looking at my next one, if I want the Y-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for x. So 5 times 0 plus y equals 2. Oops, sorry. And so we would subtract the 0, and y would equal 2. So 0, 2. I guess they all kind of look the same. Let's do one where it doesn't have just a plain. Let's do one like number 9. So if you want to pause and try it yourself, you can. But we would say that if I want the X-intercept, I'm going to put a 0 in for Y. So I would have 6x plus 4 times 0 equals 12. Because wherever the Y is, that's 0. Well, 4 times 0 is 0. And I know a lot of you don't need to show this step, but I want to show you all the steps just in case. And then we would have 6 times x, so we would divide by 6 and get x equals 2. So 2, 0. And let's try this other one. What if I have a Y-intercept? I want x to be 0. So 6 times 0 plus 4y equals 12. So 0 plus 4y equals 12. Going to go ahead and subtract that 0 and divide by 4. And so y is 3, or 0, 3. This is going to come out to a fraction because the 5 doesn't go into 42. But why don't we try this one real quick? Maybe pause and try it yourself. This is the last one I'll do. Okay, so again, if I want the X-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for Y. So I've got 3x plus 6 times 0, or 3x plus 0 equals 18. Subtract the 0, divide by 3. So x is 6, or 6, 0. For my Y-intercept, I would put a 0 in for x. So 3 times 0 plus 6, y equals 18. Anything times 0 is 0. Go ahead and subtract that to the other side. 6y equals 18. Divide by 6, and y equals 3, or 0, 3. Okay, I feel like you guys probably have a handle on how to find the x and y-intercept from an equation. So what if I need to get it from a graph? Okay, what if they asked me to graph it? So let's go ahead and look at number 11. So same thing, okay? I'm gonna use the same colors so that everything matches. Sorry, I had to peek there. So if I want I'm gonna do the X-intercept over here. Oops. So if I want the X-intercept, I want the Y to be 0. So I'm gonna do 3x minus 5 times 0 equals 15. Anything times 0 is 0, so I got 3x minus 0. Go ahead and add a 0, sure. So 3x equals 15, divide by 3, and so x equals 5 or 5, 0. On the x-axis at positive 5, that's where I'm going to put that point. Looking at the y-intercept, I'm going to make x 0 this time. So I'm going to do 3 times 0 minus 5y equals 15. That's 0. Go ahead and subtract the 0. So I get negative 5y equals 15. Divide by a negative, and I'm going to get y equals a negative 3, or 0, negative 3. So this is on the y-axis at negative 3. Once you have the x-intercept and the y-intercept, you can draw a line because you have 2 points. Let's try this next one. See what you think about this one. Can you do it? Let's see how you did. So we had an x-intercept, y equals 0. So I have x plus 0 equals 1. So subtract that 0, and x is 1, or 1, 0. On the x-axis. It's an x-intercept, so it's going to go on the x-axis wherever it says. Looking at the y-intercept. So now x is 0. 0 plus y equals 1. Subtract that 0. Y equals 1, 0, 1. And so my equation will look like that. All right, one more. Maybe pause and try it yourself. All right, let's see how you did. So we've got the x-intercept, so y equals 0. So x plus 4 times 0 equals negative 4. Oops, sorry, x plus 0 equals negative 4. Subtract the 0, and x equals negative 4. So on the x-axis, it's at negative 4. Moving over to my y-intercept, I'm going to put x is 0 this time. So 0 plus 4y equals negative 4. Subtract the 0. 4y equals negative 4. When I divide by a positive 4, I'm going to get a negative 1, or 0, negative 1. So on the y-axis, right here at negative 1, and there's my line.